Afraid to ask. Yeah, this is a good idea. I'm glad we did this. Yes, Peyton.
First song you wrote?
First song I wrote was called The Dreamer, and I was 12, and it was really goofy and pretty.
Can you
and
play it for us?
No, sure can't. Yes, in the back. Will there be a sequel to Use Your Words? Between you and me, there's cameras in the room. If we do a sequel, it probably won't be called Use Your Words 2. For contractual reasons, we don't want to make a sequel because certain people own the rights to a sequel, and we'd rather make more money on it. So we might make a game called Employ Your Vocabulary or Utilize Your Mouth. We probably won't make it called that, actually. It'd be a very different game. But I'll put it this way. I'd like to do that, and also we're working on DLC, and we're also working on a French content pack, because right now, no kidding, more people own the PC version of this game in France than in the United States. I don't know why, but we exploded just like Jerry Lewis. Don't know what that's about. Yes?
Are you ever going to make like a disc version?
A disc version? Probably not, because we've licensed a bunch of material. Film clips, music, lots of photos, and when you have a physical item, like you print it or you press it onto a thing you can hold in your hand, the licensing costs go way up. So just to simply have a disc that the game is on that we sell would mean we're suddenly like paying, could be $50,000, could be $100,000 of additional licensing costs. So like, I like the idea, but I'd almost rather just sell a box with like a download code card inside so you can have a collectible, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like a big box for like DOS or something.
Right, or even just like a little CD case, like a, Switch has like a little tiny case, but like it's just really to hold that tiny thing. Something like that. Yes, additional questions, yeah.
How long was the development on the game?
I first had the idea in February of 2015. We had
That's a long ago.
kind of a working thing in June of 2015. We had a working full prototype February of 2016, then we kickstarted it, and we made most of what you see between then and January of this year. So at this point, we released in April, but it was basically a 2-year process, give or take.
And how many people had their hands on it?
How many people have? Well, there's just
More to say.
There's just 2 co-creators, but then on top of that, we had a lead artist and an additional programmer. So really, there's 4 of us on the main team, but I also hired maybe 12 or 13 staff writers to write additional house answers and prompts, because honestly, Cards Against Humanity is kind of like aging poorly, and you can kind of tell that it's written from kind of a straight white guy perspective, and really tried to not do that. We hired people to make the game diverse without feeling like it lost a sense of mischief. There is just people with very different outlooks on life than me and most of the team, because we didn't want it to just feel like a bunch of straight white guys wrote it. That's trying to avoid that. Yes.
How did you choose the clips?
How did we choose the clips? So I was in charge of the culling of all the subtitle clips. And so I just had to find public domain movies and sit there and watch them in the most weirdly attentive way. I wasn't watching the story. I wasn't enjoying the movie. I was just watching for something that feels like a setup and a punch. Hey, where are you going today? Your mom. But you've got to kind of always be imagining that this tiny 5-second clip could be a jokey thing, but sometimes the setup's perfect and then they wait too long for the answer, so that one won't fit, right? So, I would watch all these old Russian movies. North Korean movies are a gold mine of this stuff. We really didn't worry about the legality of that. Yeah.
I don't know, that's a...
But it was really just a matter of once, I watched the movie, pull the clips, then we test them. We would just play the hell out of them. And sometimes you can tell really quickly, oh, this is not that funny. But when a clip does well, you keep it. The testing of this game was very much like a stand-up act. You go and you have your 10 minutes and you're like, I think all of these jokes in this 10 minutes are good. And then you find out 3 minutes of it is really good, 5 minutes of it is okay. And you cut and you cut and you cut. And I tried to really keep the prompts in every mini game, just the prompts that make people funnier than they usually are. Because sometimes the prompt's just not that funny. For a while we had like, you know what they say, beggars can't be blank. And like people would write these answers that were like punching down at the homeless and also not terribly funny. And we were like, let's get rid of that prompt because it doesn't lead to laughs and the kind of laughs we want. And that's true of every minigame, particularly the subtitle. So I probably found, I don't know, 8 or 9 times more clips than you see in the game. But if one didn't work very well, we just cut it. We cut it, all the ones except the ones that really, really typically worked. Yes?
Yeah, building off that, how many clips and pictures are in the game?
How many clips and pictures are in the game? Currently, I think there's like 90 clips and I think 70 or 80 pictures. I keep cutting. Every time we add more, I take a few away. Because it's like once you see the game played a lot, and like it's always being played on Twitch, so I get on and I watch people play, and if I see something that's kind of a dud, like I'll cut it. Yeah, I think overall there's something like 400 or 500 prompts at any given time, but I think it's, 80 or 90 clips, 70 or 80 pictures. Yes?
What was the hardest part of development for you?
What was the hardest part of development for me? Learning to live with bugs, because I'm a theater person. So here's how theater works. You have a show, you rehearse it, you want it to be good, you rehearse it and rehearse it and rehearse it. They screw up a thing, you're like, I'm the director, fix that. And they go, okay, I'm a good actor, I fixed it. So by the time you present the show, it's as good as you think it's gonna be. And then you find out from the audience what you need to fix. With a game, you work and work and work and work, and you direct it and you direct, and then you play it and it screws up, because glitches be glitches. And like, when it's important, the game's gonna crap out. We had at MagFest put all the faith in me that this prototype, pre-alpha, pre-anything, was going to carry a game show panel just like this one we just did. But this was a game that like would stop working for no reason, just because getting a game to talk to the internet, to talk to phones, to talk back to the internet, to talk to the game, like 50 times during one game, is actually a lot of work. But the angry video game nerd was on the panel, DJ Cutman, all these people, Team 4-Star, people that I really wanted to like have footage of them enjoying it for the Kickstarter. The money shot was the angry video game nerd laughing at an answer with a big crowd. But the game shit the bed for like 45 minutes of an hour-long panel. So the answer is learning that bugs and glitches happen and not getting upset. Because to be honest, I started with this metaphor, like it always felt like, you know, like losing your inspiration in the bedroom, like, this never happened. It's like, it's that moment where you're like, it feels terrible, but like the way that it feels terrible also takes the air out of the room. I just had to learn, like, look, bugs happen. They're nobody's fault, and they're part of the process. But God, it, especially at the prototype phase, just murdered me. And it made me very tense. Actually, well, Katie left. Katie Johnson was actually able to playtest the game very early on. She's on staff at Fal-Con. And she was there for like a time where we were playtesting it, but it was very tense because if somebody just like looked at their phone the wrong way, the game would crash, you know. So it's a very long answer to a very simple question, but yeah, bugs. They're terrible. They're life ruiners, but you get used to them. Yes?
Is it designed to be added to? Like, it's on an internet base, so like, you say you have like 400 questions, could you keep adding to it as you go like adding more stuff, or is it like...
Oh, we continue adding to it for sure. And like, if we were to find out that like a movie company bought the rights to a clip and they were like, get rid of that clip, we have a dynamic backend that can actually immediately cancel the use of any clips in the game. Because some of the clips are what we call presumed public domain, but it's just because we couldn't find the copyright holder. And so because of the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, if we've done our due diligence, this is a really long answer to your question. The point is, we can change it as we go, and we do patch it often. Yes, sir?
For like Steam, are you gonna allow mods for people to come put like their own packs? Or their
We've thought about that. I've gone back and forth on it. It's kind of snobby. Here's why. My thought on it is this. If it took me 2 years to get a relatively small amount of prompts and probably produced like 5 times the number of prompts that actually made it into the game, I'm not sure I trust Joe Schmo to like write good prompts and 7 house answers per prompt. However, lots of people in like Portugal, Finland, they want like to do it in their own language. That's a reason we're thinking about doing Steam Workshop. Like they write their own prompts. Maybe somebody, kind of like Happy Wheels, somebody's like pack of prompts gets popular. We haven't done it yet, but we are thinking about it. Other questions? Come on, we're doing so well. We only have a little bit more to go. We can do this together. I don't know what a weird exercise this is for all of us. Yes, go.
Do you know what inspired kind of the 50s kitsch feel of the game?
Yes, I wanted to do a 60s kitsch game. In fact, to be honest with you, this is part of why I love Cuphead so much, because as much as look, within our budget and our timeline, we made a game, and the limitations of our artists, we made a game that I thought really evoked the color TV 60s. But I look at Cuphead, I haven't even played it. I might not play it, and I bought the crap out of it, because any game that captures a look and a time so perfectly needs to be supported. I love pastiche. I love when somebody can just nail. I want to do fan fiction albums. Like, I love Ben Folds 5. They're never going to be a band again. I want to do an EP of lost Ben Folds 5 songs and get somebody that sings like Ben Folds and like arrange them just like that. Because I want to do it in the style, right? Cuphead is in the style of those Max Fleischer, Popeye, Betty Boop cartoons, and it just so perfectly nails it. And I love the idea of pastiche. I love BioShock. And I wanted to make a game that, like, you can look at any screenshot from the game and immediately go, I know what that is. And some games aren't like that. Some games don't have a certain iconic feel where you know what it is. I'd never seen the 60s done in a game before, in a video game. I'd seen Art Deco, 40s, 50s with Fallout, but Fallout didn't quite stretch into like a color TV, you know what I mean, like I Dream of Jeannie kind of 1960s feel.
It was the rustic future 50s kind of feel.
Right.
Science fiction.
Right. And a lot of the music's more 20s, 30s. But like, point being, it was an obsession of mine from the beginning to do a pastiche of a time, and we settled on 60s because I just had never seen that in a particularly popular video game. Thank you so much for asking. Really young kids always say 80s or 90s because they don't know the difference. Yes?
Did you run into some serious copyright issues while making the game?
Did we run into some serious copyright issues while making the game? The answer is no, but that's just because we played it safe with the clips we chose. Like, the thing is, a company that made Russian films in the 30s, they don't really care if you use 15 seconds. We still emailed them, which is, part of our due diligence. But like, for them to be like, well, let's work out a contract to get the 8 cents per day, or whatever it is, whatever like tiny amount, for us to just use a thing in a parody manner. The copyright issue that really bit us in the butt was getting music, because we wanted to license music because we wanted it to sound authentic. And you'd be surprised, like there are websites where they go, oh, you want to, use our music in your project. It's $9.99 if you're an amateur. It's $20 if you're a pro, and you can use it in one YouTube video. But then when you look at the fine print, if you want to use it in a thing you're selling, it suddenly goes from $20 to $1,400 per track. We raised $46,000 on Kickstarter, so like we had to fit our music budget into like $2,000. That was where copyright really hurt us, and finding out, we bought the license for 10,000 copies, so if we do well, we're gonna have to pay again. That's where copyright hurt us. But no, as far as the multimedia stuff, we just minded our P's and Q's, and we bought the right licenses, and it was a ton of like looking through stock photo sites, so my eyes were bleeding, but like, we found the stuff and it worked out okay so far. Questions? Yes, Carmen Sandiego.
Came in late. Sorry if I'm asking something you already talked about.
No worries.
Is this just a taster of what you have planned in the future? Do you have any other games?
I do. I don't know that I'll do another party game, but since you ask, I think that I am the person who should make the first ever video game that is a musical. Disney tried it with Epic Mickey 2. It sucked because they got bad songwriters and they don't know how to integrate musical numbers into a game. And I sound like a real douchebag, like, yeah, let me tell you how this works. But like,
that's stacked on top of the gameplay problems the first one had. Because I was super stoked for it, got the limited edition. I played like 2 hours of it, and I was like, my God, this sucks.
Right. No, it's bad. And the songs were just rambly BS, to be honest. And like, you got Rhapsody, a musical adventure from the 90s, which was cute, but like, I'll put it this way. I think I know how to make a game that is... Have you guys played Rayman Legends?
Yes.
There's those musical levels.
Yes, I love those.
Why aren't there lyrics? Why isn't there a story? They're this close to it being a musical. There's just no story. But why is he jumping? Why is the fire chasing him? If you just made a choice story-wise, you'd have a story. And if there were lyrics in that song and you die over and over again, you're gonna know that song by the end of the level. It's gonna be in your head. Like, I don't know, Frozen, Hamilton, all the other, Book of Mormon, all the other explosive musicals. But how much more is it in your head if you had to learn the choreography? You know what I'm saying?
So like those levels from Rayman Legends mixed with kind of a Great Mighty Pooh from Conker's Bad Fur Day, maybe?
The bosses might have a Great Mighty Pooh feel. Let me pitch you the prototype level that I hope to be showing people by March. So you're a silent protagonist because we have to do some video game things. You know, the protagonist singing to me is very uncharming. But you find yourself in like a dark room, you know, light a fire. You're in this like booby-trapped pyramid with this like super douchebag like Zap Brannigan Gaston kind of guy. You know, and he's like, "Oh, you're so lucky you found me. I'll get you out of here, but you're gonna have to keep up." And like suddenly like a rope snaps and a big Indiana Jones boulder starts rolling towards you. And it's a 2D side scroller, by the way. So he's like, "Oh, we better get out of here. Follow me, kid." So he starts running backwards, and you've got to run after him and stay between him and the boulder. Now the song starts, right? And he's like telling you in the song, "You're so lucky you found me. Nothing gets past me. I am the best." And you're in good hands. But he keeps tripping all the booby traps. And like arrows keep flying and like a tomahawk almost chops his head off. And he doesn't see any of it because he's telling you how cool he is. And like the whole song, you're like saving him at one point, grabbing a rope and keeping him from dying. And he's like, "Oh, good thing I helped you there." Like he's an idiot. But by the end of the song, by the end of the level, you know his character. You have this catchy song in your head. It was hard, so like you feel that sense of accomplishment when you've beaten a fun level. But like, it was a story. It was on rails, yes, but like just a regular old auto-scroll 2D level. There could be boss fights that give you more agency, free explore levels that give you more agency, with music integrated, but even if it was just a 4 or 5 hour game, or a 3 hour game, getting a full story with an already fun side-scroller that's challenging and well-made, to me, I feel like I can do that, and that's my kind of magnum opus next project. And like, you know, use your words, we got some DLC coming, but I think party games, I did party games. It was fun, play it, buy it, but this other thing, oh, and I'm talking to Dave Bulmer, who's Demon Tomato Dave from the UK. If you know my videos, he and I have collaborated before, but we're secretly tinkering on some things in the background for this game. Thank you so much for the question. I think we have to clear out of here, so I'm gonna do one more, but I'll be around. I'm going to go over to Myrick after this, so if you want to continue the conversation or buy a CD, get a picture, handshake, butt slap, whatever you like, I'll be over there. Literally just going to pack up my stuff and walk over there after this. But I can do one more question if you have it. Yes?
Was it hard to balance development of this game with your YouTube stuff?
Was it hard to balance the development of this game with my YouTube stuff? Only when I did a YouTube video during the development of the game, and that was only once. Because I kind of ditched my YouTube to make this game, and not to be mean to my YouTube channel, but I've been doing it for 9 years, and making games is a lot of fun, and also new. I'm never going to walk away from my YouTube channel, but I kind of feel like, you know, Weird Al released an album in 2014, but can you name the year that he released an album before that? The year of his last album before that? It was what, 2, 3, 4, 5 years? But he was still Weird Al during that time. Maybe he was touring, maybe he was doing live shows. He just wasn't writing Weird Al music. But I've got some other stuff I really need to do right now before I find myself 50 years old and only known for fart jokes on YouTube. So anyway, thank you guys so much for coming. I'm going to be in Myrick, so either come over there or stick around for the panel after this. Thanks, guys.
All right, let's give another round of applause for Brent. Please check him out, buy his stuff.